Down the Street Live. Meeting interesting people throughout America and beyond. I've always been attracted to interesting people. You know, those unique individuals who bravely take a different path. The tenacious ones who persevere despite the obstacles. Well, today I'm going to be meeting such a person who has an intriguing story to tell. His name is Christopher Carnrick. He's a friend and he's a chef whose challenged interest in whole food, plant-based, no-oil cooking made a significant change in his life. So come along with me as I go down the street live. Down the Street Live. How would you like to have a delicious, and I mean delicious, whole food, plant-based, non-oil pizza? Well, it sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Well, we're about to go in and meet my old friend Christopher Carnrick. He's a chef, and he's going to tell us exactly how he makes it. So come on, let's go.
And here we have our whole food, plant-based, no-oil pizza with a stretchy, no-oil mozzarella. But what's missing? Some Parmesan.
Okay, I'm going to brag a little bit on my friend Christopher Carnrick. The very first book that he wrote was this one, Dinner for Six at 8. It's sort of a capsulization of he and Arturo when they were in Spain and they were doing private dinner parties and so on. And it's an absolutely amazing book. Kitchen Disasters is a must buy. You have to have it because you have to have it. It's just a great book. It's very funny. I guess is my favorite. Confessions of a Starch Whore. I love the name. I tell you what, I could make $1 million with this guy, putting him on the road as a stand-up. He's that funny. He truly is. Christopher, I want you to tell everyone a little bit about your background, but I'm just going to ask you questions that I think would be really important for people to know. One, you have a hearing problem, right?
Yes.
Turn around.
I have a cochlear implant. I was born hearing, and then at the age of 9, I was hit with measles.
Wow.
And I became deaf.
It had to be a major challenge for you as a child, I would think.
No, it was a challenge for everybody else. This is just like, this is who I am.
Okay.
So how I got started eating this way was I actually got challenged by Dr. John McDougall and Jeff Novick in Santa Rosa, California from the McDougall Clinic. And what had happened, just kind of give you a brief synopsis. I was in Spain running the culinary school Casa Sabadillas. And I just felt tired and stuff, but I figured, well, at my age, that's just normal. And I went to the doctor, and when I went there, she said, you're morbidly obese, you're ready to have a stroke, your blood pressure is 160 over 106. And I left thinking I was normal, and I left with medication, blood pressure medication in particular. And with the blood pressure medication, it lowers your blood pressure. And there's times that men need a little help from Hemo the Magnificent, and that wasn't happening, and I went back to the doctor, and she said, oh, you need the magic blue pill. I had a very bad reaction. And on my search to find out if other people had had this, Dr. McDougall challenged me and said, maybe if you changed how you eat, that you could get off the medication. And he said, and you might lose some weight, which kind of irritated me because I hate thin people telling me what to do, because I've been on a diet since I was 9 years old. So I accepted the challenge, ready to prove him to be a quack. And I ate everything he said, tons of it. You're supposed to just eat till you're full. I went overboard because I really wanted him to be wrong. And at the end of 10 days, my blood pressure, I only lost 3 pounds. But my blood pressure, 120 over 70. My blood pressure went normal in 10 days. And I just kept doing it. And I love to eat, I love food, and I ended up losing 80 pounds.
Okay, so Christopher, I guess I'm a little stymied by one thing, is that You don't do everything from scratch, though. You actually buy some of these ingredients, right?
Ingredients that I can find that are compliant, meaning that they're whole food, plant-based, no oil. So I did buy the crust for the pizza, but the rest of it pretty much do yourself, but we make it easy. What my easy recipes we call furniture polish cooking. Do you know why?
I like that.
Because here's the thing. We don't have time to cook everything, but we want our family to think we did, right? So all this, what we're going to do is fast. And then you're supposed to go take a nap. So you'll be kind of puffy, make the kitchen look messy, then spray furniture polish in the air. So when people come in, it smells like you've been cleaning and cooking all day.
I think my wife says that. I'm not sure. Okay, well, I tell you, let's just jump right into this thing because it's so fascinating. And folks, you are going to absolutely be amazed by Christopher. He's incredible.
All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to start with pizza sauce. Now, what I like to do is just get a big batch of marinara sauce, and then I pack it away for lots of different things. Marinara sauce can turn into chili. It can turn into a sauce just by changing the flavoring principles. You can use it as sauce for eggplant moussaka or anything. But what we're going to do is I just threw some here that I had left over for the pizza sauce, and then this little can is red wine. These cans are perfect. I used to have them as a kid. My mom loved to put them in my lunch. I'm kidding. But what you're going to do is you're just going to put a splash in there, you know, to make it Italian. Then to thicken it up, and you always save the leftovers for later. And then I'm just going to add some tomato paste just to kind of make it thicker. And then we want to have some Italian flavoring to it, so I just grabbed like a teaspoon of garlic powder, some Italian seasoning, and I like mine kind of spicy. So I have some red peppers here. Dump that in there, and then we just stir it all up. Now you're like, yeah, but now I got to get the toppings, and I have to do all kinds of stuff with them. Actually, what I did was I bought frozen Italian vegetables. This has some mushrooms and red pepper. I threw it in the microwave to defrost it. I'm going to throw in some Italian seasoning, just any kind of generic Italian seasoning, and then we're going to stir it up. So now we're going to make a stretchy, melty mozzarella cheese. That's whole food, plant-based, no oil. Now, most of the time you'll see them in the grocery store. All you have to do is read the ingredients, and you'll be shocked at how much oil. And oil is not good for you. If you want oil, eat food. There's oil in it. You want olive oil? Eat olives. You want corn oil? Eat corn. So what we're going to do here is we're going to make this. Now, when you see recipes, a lot of them will say, soak this for 4 hours, do this, do that. It's just too complicated. You don't have time. You need time for a nap. So I'm going to show you how to do this very fast. So what you're going to do with these ingredients is, first, I have a 1/4 cup of tapioca flour. Put that in. Then I have 1.5 tablespoons of carrageenan, which is a type of seaweed. This is the secret. This is what makes it melt and stretchy. This activates with hot water. We're going to add a tablespoon, which is basically half a lemon. And the reason why you want a lemon is think about when you eat cheese, what happens in your mouth? Well, one, you have texture. You also have something that's sour. That's from the lactic acid. So we're going to reproduce that. I love this little thing. I just grab a lemon from my garden, squeeze it in there, it strains it, boom, done. And a 1.5 teaspoons of salt. Some people will say, but I don't use salt. Okay, well, it's not going to work. It's not going to taste. And here's the thing. When you make cheese, they could coagulate milk. And so you have these globs of fat. And then you sprinkle salt on them, so when you eat them, your brain does this happy dance. It's like, yeah, I got fat and salt, fat and salt. And a lot of people are down on salt. A little bit of salt is good. And salt, even if you look at the history of salt, Saldo in Spanish means paycheck. In the Roman days, they used to pay their employees with salt. Now they just rub salt in wounds, but anyway. Now what we're going to do, so we've got our carrageenan, our tapioca, our lemon, and here's the secret. Most of the time they tell you this is a cup and a half of water and this is a half a cup of cashews. And most people say you got to soak these for 4 hours. Remember I told you the carrageenan is going to react with hot water. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these cashews in here and then I'm going to microwave them. So for about a minute and a half to microwave it because I want to get it good and hot. And then when I pour it in here and turn on the blender, it's going to start to activate the seaweed and start to get thick. Now what I'm going to do is drizzle it on top of the pizza, but some of the things you can do is you can put it in a silicone pan and chill it, cut it later, and actually have mozzarella sticks to dip in more cheese sauce, and you can have mozzarella sticks while you're sipping on the leftover wine too, if you would like. So the first thing we're going to do now is we're just going to put on our pizza sauce onto this crust. This particular crust was by Engine 2. You can buy that even online. If you look at Engine 2, they're all compliant, no oil. And so we have that. Our vegetables, we've already cooked those. We tossed it with some Italian seasoning. And now we're just going to sprinkle that on here as much as we want. That was pretty easy. Didn't have to spend a lot of time chopping. I'm throwing on some, they look like chives, but actually what they are is the tops to green onions. And what I do, if you look over here, I have green onions, so I buy them, cut the tops, stick them in that with water, and every 2 weeks I get a whole new crop. And I have some basil, fresh basil I got from my yard. I kind of like showing these. These are scissors. I don't like to spend a lot of time doing chiffonade, and so I just do this. And it chops it all up nice and fine. Boom, done. Now we're going to make the mozzarella cheese, and then we will put this in the oven, and then I'm going to show you the secret Parmesan cheese, okay? We have our hot water and cashews, and now we're going to work kind of fast here to make this stretchy mozzarella. There we go.
Wow. Look at that.
And since it's still hot, I'm going to pour it on top of the pizza. And then the leftovers here, I'm going to put in this silicone pan. So this is how you can store it. And the other thing you can do with this is after you've stored it and it's chilled, you can shred it with a shredder. So the only thing missing on our pizza is some Parmigiana. And so I have some whole food plant-based no oil Parmigiana that you guys are getting the exclusive recipe for today. But I'm going to sprinkle some on there while it's still hot. And I tell you, you cannot tell this from real Parmesan. I use this with pesto. I use this with any type of Parmigiana dishes. It is fantastic and super easy to make. All cheeses have one ingredient that they use, which is nutritional yeast. And in the old days, they used to call it brewer's yeast, and today they call it nutritional yeast. So I have a half a cup of nutritional yeast. I have a half a cup of almond flour. All these ingredients you can buy at your local grocery store. This one you have to look for. I get it online, but this is dry miso. Miso is also an ingredient that you find in a lot of plant-based cheese dishes. So I have a tablespoon of dry miso and then a teaspoon and a half of salt. For those of you who don't eat salt, it's not going to taste like Parmesan. It'll be close. You can omit it, or you can use a salt substitute. Then I'm going to stir all this up, and then I had one person tell me, oh, I only eat aged Parmesan. Okay, so we're going to make it aged. This is a teaspoon of dry mustard. Boom, aged Parmesan. So you mix this all together, and then I just put it in a decanter and keep it for whenever I want to use it.
Do you refrigerate that?
No, it just sits out dry. Let's cut this baby up. You ready?
Christopher, I never would have guessed in a million years that this wasn't, I'm going to use the word authentic, if you will.
No, that's true.
I mean, it's absolutely delicious. There's no question about it. I have a question for you. How did you come up with all this stuff?
I love food. And what I did miss eating this way is that there's some things like cheese that I really miss. So what I decided to do is to get creative and think of how could I reproduce things. Because here's the truth. Physiologically, we don't have the ability to taste amino acids. So when you eat a steak, you don't taste meat. What you taste is coagulated blood and salt and things like that. Barbecue, you crave because it's a vehicle for barbecue sauce. So knowing that made me go, okay, then I just need to get a vehicle to deliver flavor. All ethnic food can be broken into three components: selection of food, method of cooking, and flavoring principle. So we did the selection of food and we did the flavoring principle. What we're manipulating is the method of cooking, so the changes. So that's how I came up with these different ways to be able to, because I like to eat.
Well, so do I, and it's absolutely amazing.
So
now, what did you got here? This is what you put in your freezer earlier, right?
Yeah, this is the leftover mozzarella. And so with this, I just wanted to show you, you can cut it into little mozzarella sticks if you want.
Wow.
Or you can shred it on a shredder. You can do anything you want. So, the kids are home and you're like, oh, here's some mozzarella stick and some sauce to dip it in. And it tastes like mozzarella cheese, doesn't it?
It tastes like mozzarella cheese. It's extraordinary.
Isn't that amazing? It has the same texture too.
Wow. I met Chris for a long time ago, and not all that long ago, we were doing another segment for another show, and he did something which I thought was just absolutely amazing. He made hot dogs out of carrots. And by the time he was done with it, I'm not going to go through the whole process, but you would swear only from not only just a taste point of view, but from a visual point of view, that he just took it off the grill in the backyard. You put it on a bun and you swore it was hot dog. This guy is incredible. You really are.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Now I'm going to fast forward a little bit here. You were actually in a commune at one time.
I was.
Now, talk a little bit about that.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. I mean, where was it? When was it? And essentially, how long were you there and what transpired?
At the age of 17, I ran away from home. I had joined a cult. And while I was in the cult, I decided I wanted to get out of the cult. And we heard about a nonviolent deprogramming center in Yakima, Washington called the House of Elijah. And so I left the cult, went to the House of Elijah, which was a wonderful experience. I'm still in touch with the people that was there. But that's where I really learned how to cook. We lived off of donations in the garden. And so I had to get creative. If somebody brought a case of chicken necks and peanut butter, which actually happened, how do I feed 36 people with this? You know? And you end up learning how to make Thai peanut curry. But anyway, that was where I started developing those skills. Plus, my mom was a great cook. So growing up, I was used to things like other kids would have macaroni and cheese. We were having boeuf bourguignon. She was from the East Coast, and I was born in Texas, and so she brought a lot of that influence there.
Amazing, incredible story. And again, there's so much to Christopher's background that I find just very fascinating. But he has this amazing sense of humor that I really love. It's sort of on the dark side, or I'm going to be honest with you, it's really sick. Okay, it's a sick humor, which I happen to love. I think humor with you is also something that energizes you and keeps you moving and keeps you going. I think you love to look at things from a humorous point of view. Am I right?
Yes. Also, I'll be honest with you. I tend to use humor when I'm very uncomfortable. And so that's kind of where that got me out of uncomfortable situations. Also, I was a hugely fat kid. And so you develop humor for a defense mechanism. I mean, when I say I'm fat, like when they were picking teams, okay, they would pick the girl in the iron lung. They would pick me. And when they did get me, the opposing team would cheer.
Christopher, I got to tell you, we could go on forever. But folks, I just wanted to give you a little taste, a little sense of Christopher Carnrick, the Christopher I know, and he's just an amazing guy. And as you have seen, or you will be seeing shortly, he is also an amazing chef and very creative in a lot of different ways. So thank you again, Christopher.
No, thank you.
You are the best. Okay. All right. We'll see you later, folks. Bye-bye. Next week on Down the Street Live, we're going to be catching up with Javier Hopper, a determined Colombian who followed his dream of immigrating to America and carving out a new beginning in the land of promise. So don't miss it. Down the Street Live. Meeting creative people throughout America and beyond.